Okay, well, this is the first podcast of Insider Knowledge. Today I have Ellis with me, who is a former apprentice contestant who got to the last five, and he now owns Hustle Marketing, which is devoted to disruption. So over to you, Lewis, if you can just talk about yourself and your current company at the moment that you've started.
Cool, man. Well, nice to meet you properly, I guess. And also, thank you anyone who actually listens to this, because I mean, I'm not the most interesting person in the world, but I feel like I have some nuggets to share with people. But yeah, so my name's Lewis. I'm from Manchester. I run a marketing agency that is called Hustle Marketing. It's essentially a disruptive marketing agency. So what that means is, yes, we do all the traditional sort of, we build websites, we run social media accounts, we do ads, PPC, SEO, all that sort of stuff, because that's needed to sort of to carry out the campaigns that we do. But one of the things that we do that's very different is we focus on, okay, well, what can we do that's very different? What can we do that no one else in that market is doing? And that might be a crazy campaign. It might just be, creating a different type of website. It might be, driving traffic through an unorthodox channel that no one's really thought of before. But whatever it is, we always try and be disruptive. Okay, so I try and harness my naturally pain in the ass mentality that my teachers would have hated in school, and I now use that for positive evil. Yeah, because I mean, when I was younger, I used to find that I didn't fit in, and I always had these random and crazy ideas, and I didn't know how to harness that in a positive way. But actually, applying that to marketing, it turns out works very, very well. It makes a really nice, unique way of working, and that's kind of what we've doubled down on. So yeah, and we've been going for just over 2 years now. So we're just going into our third year as of last month.
Brilliant. I was going through your website, and you mentioned about other marketing agencies just doing the bare minimum, and that's something you want to kind of disrupt and really sort of to change the industry on. So,
sorry, I was going to say, so obviously, we work with clients to see how they can be disruptive. But whilst my business was forming, I thought, how can I be different, really? And I've worked in marketing for just over a decade now, which is crazy. And I worked in-house in a lot of different businesses, and then I went to agency side, and I moved through different agencies over the years. And the one thing I found was that it was just so uninspired, even in the marketing environment, right? It was always, you'll approach a marketing company and they'll go, oh, we'll build a website, we'll do an SEO campaign, we'll run some ads, and then you'll see an increase. And that's fine, right? That is better than doing nothing. But bottom line is, that's what most people are doing now. So if that's what everyone's doing, how can we call it marketing anymore? It's not, it's just doing the bare minimum, right? It's like before, marketing was having a website. If you had a website, you were a great business you were forward thinking, you were great marketers. But now everyone has a website, so therefore, is it enough? And I look at the same thing when I look at, okay, you've got SEO, you've got social media ads, you've got PPC advertisement, you've got print, radio, whatever. You look at all the different channels that you've got, and if most businesses are using them, then how is that going to stop and get a target audience to stop, stand there, pay attention, engage, excite? It just doesn't, because it's the bare minimum. So I know it's annoying because most companies aren't even doing half of that. But bottom line is, it is now the bare minimum. It's now the foundation. Okay, right, you've got a good website. You are running great social campaigns. You've got a great SEO team working your website. You're ranking on Google. You're great. You're doing all these other things. So what else are we going to do that's marketing? What else can we do? And we're there for that. What else can you do? We're the guys that you call when essentially your marketing feels like, oh, we're doing the same as everyone else. It's a bit uninspired. It's a bit tired, and we're the guys you call.
What kind of big challenges are you finding in the market at the moment, or what are your clients finding challenges, especially with the economy sort of the way it is at the moment? People are holding back budgets. What would you recommend there?
I have seen an influx of inquiries in the last probably 8 weeks. I've been inundated with proposals. I'm talking to tens and tens. I was going to say hundreds, but it's not. It's like 20 or 30, but still tens of tens, different businesses. And it seems like they seem to have learned their lesson. So last time, I think during COVID lockdown, they were freaking out. Everyone stopped spending, and everything went boom. I think this time round, and with a recession looming, which in inverted brackets, because I always think there's some sort of threat coming, regardless of what it is. I think with that looming, people have decided they're gonna use their brains and continue to grow, which is it's seemingly an exciting time to be involved in marketing right now. Like you would think they'd be holding on to their cash, right? But they're doing the opposite. They're going, right, well, actually, we need to drive sales. We need to make sure we're here tomorrow. We need to increase spend. We need to look after our employees by driving sales and all that sort of stuff. So, yeah, I'm finding that actually it's been an increase in business right now. It's an increase in conversations, and a lot of people are. I think they're just that. Yeah, they've just learned a lesson from the COVID. You know, the stop. Everything just stopped, didn't it? The COVID.
Of course, yeah. Mm-hmm. So if someone was just, I suppose, not getting a return on investment then within the marketing, but they wanted to spend with you, for instance, what was the first thing you'd maybe sort of recommend they should start doing if they're not doing it already?
Was that if they were going to start working with us, or if we were going to just recommend some things they do for themselves?
Even if they're working with yourselves.
I mean, the first thing that happens when a company comes to us is they'll say, okay, we want to stand out in our markets. We want to grab some more market share. You know, we've been around for. Usually, the conversations I have with clients are, we've been around for a while. We're doing okay. You know, we're getting leads. It's just not exciting them. You know, they're doing okay, but they want to know what else can they do. You know, they're not struggling to drive revenue. They're not struggling in sales. They're doing okay because they've got a good website. They're running campaigns. They're doing X, Y, Z. The marketing agency they've worked with for 5-6 years, but they've probably turned around to the marketing agency and said, okay, what else can we do? And that agency have gone, well, that's kind of it. You're doing everything. And unfortunately, that is the dumbest answer a marketing person come out with, because you can never have done everything, right? There's nothing you can't try. And that was what I faced when I worked in-house and when I worked in agencies, was that, this is what we do. And once we've done that, that's everything. It's like, no, that's not everything. That's the bare minimum. Anyway, so the first thing I'd recommend is that, what's enough? 1 second. The first thing that I would recommend is that you look at your landscape and you look at the market and you go, okay, well, what's everyone else doing? So I know it sounds boring, it sounds tedious and silly, but I always do the competitor analysis and a SWOT analysis of a business. Now, it doesn't have to be too in-depth. For me, when I'm looking at a business, I might not do it fully because it might not be a huge marketing strategy, but I will do it, in some form. I'll look at their strengths, their weaknesses, what the competitors are doing, their opportunities, their threats, what's the environment saying? Is there a recession? Is there a way we can swing that into an opportunity? Is there anything happening right now in politics that we can utilize to our advantage? Is there anything happening in the press that's relevant to our business? Start just analyzing and looking at what opportunities there are to jump on things and how that might be a threat or an opportunity for my business. So that's kind of like the very first thing I recommend for everyone. Because again, if you're already doing all the bare minimum stuff, then you should be looking around you and going, okay, well, what else can we do? What else can impact our business? And that's where those great, clever ideas come from. Where I'm trying to think of an example. CV Library yesterday did a van where they drove around with Rishi Sunak's face on it, and it said, if you can't get a job, we're here for you, sort of thing. And that's a common thing, that sort of politics poking fun. I'm trying to think of another one. Bingo company not recently, last year, did like a thing with Boris Johnson's party. It was like I don't know, I didn't know it was cake 88 and stuff like that, or just silly little billboards. But things like that are actually little marketing. The little golden nuggets that you can just jump on and go, how can we use that for our business? Is it relevant? Can we tie it loosely to what we're doing? And let's do a campaign, and that can always bolt on top of everything else you're doing. And and those clever, they call guerrilla tactics quite a lot because they're usually low budget, usually quite quick campaigns. I think that's where the true sparkle in marketing lies. I think that's where the true genius lies, right? It's looking at your surroundings, looking at your landscape, looking at your competition and saying, how can we use this to our advantage right now? So yeah, that's kind of the first thing I do. I start analyzing it and almost evaluating everything around them.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you own your own business as well, so I suppose you do marketing for yourself in terms of getting new business. I mean, if you had like 10x the budget that you have now, is there any specific area that you'd spend it on first?
Thing I'm doing right now. So I'm not going to tell you exactly why I'm doing it, because I feel like if I start talking about why, I'm going to be copied so fast. It's unbelievable. But I'm looking at basically what everyone else is doing in my industry, right? So the good thing about marketing people is, in most marketing agencies, they're very frigging boring, right? They're very uninspired. So great, right? So how can I use that as my opportunity, as an opportunity for my business? Well, I know they're going to be spending their money on PPC. They're probably going to be doing SEO. They're probably going to be all the boring crap that they recommend to their clients. So whilst they're all over there doing that and spending huge budgets on it, I can go and dance around left field and create loads of interesting little things that they probably never considered, would probably laugh at, would probably not even think, wouldn't even cross their radar. And as a result, I start hoovering up leads over here whilst they're all doing the same thing over there. And no offense to you, but podcast was the other one. Like, a lot of people started spending money on podcasts, and when I started one, and then when I realized everyone was doing it, I was like, nope. If everyone's doing it, I can't do that. Because I'm not a marketing person anymore if I do that. Now, I'm not saying they're not good. I'm just saying that I want to make sure that whatever I'm doing is different to what everyone else is doing. So, I do a lot of very interesting things. For example, right now I'm doing something called badvertising, where we just take businesses and we create our own content for them. We create our own sort of marketing campaign. We make it funny, engaging, inspiring. Networking events with a difference. I've been doing those quite a few times. Today I've been thinking about what I'm going to do in terms of, I want some weekly content to go out. And right now a lot of people are doing like talking heads, and they'll sit there and natter away and put words over the screen. So I found myself falling foul of it and doing one myself, and then I thought, well, if everyone else is doing it, why would I bother? Do you know what I mean? So 10x budget, what I've got now, I'd probably continue to spend every penny I've got on marketing. So right now that's what I do. Everything I've got spare that I can, I live on like crumbs, and I spend everything I can on marketing, creating unique content and doing things that no one's done, and trialing and testing things. Because I think that's the way you're supposed to grow. I think that's what you're supposed to do. I think that's how you drive sales. And it seems, since I had this new mindset, I started doing that about 8 weeks ago. We have been inundated with business, and it's all just coming in the door randomly. From parts of the world you never thought would have come across this type of business or this campaign or whatever we're doing. Mm-hmm.
I suppose in the age of sort of TikTok, people's attention spans are getting less and less and less as the years progress. Is that something you've invested in, that platform, or do you think there's going to be another one coming onto the horizon soon?
I actually enjoy TikTok. To be honest, I used it a lot when it first came out, because I believe if a new platform comes out, you should know how it works, because your client might ask you the question, right? So I spent a good couple of years playing with it. It was just messing around and enjoying it. And then it took a lot of time. So then I had to stop doing that, because realistically, that was stealing my business time. I was getting more carried away doing a TikTok than I was speaking to clients, which is stupid. However, recently I sort of had a realignment, and I've looked at, okay, well, actually, what if I could create TikToks that were relevant to marketing? Like, what if I could create TikToks that were going to bring me business? And that's where I came in with this idea of advertising. And unfortunately, it's still not small enough to be on TikTok. But my YouTube video got like 70,000 views, and the last one we did was in worldwide press. And it was essentially a video saying, here's me creating a marketing campaign in a very funny, unique way. And I don't think anyone's ever done that before. So yeah, like TikTok is a very interesting one. I personally am going to be doubling down on creating short form media, because I enjoy it. I think it's fun. I think the only danger of jumping on TikTok and Reels and that is that it does take a lot of time, and it does need certain skills to come out well. And the people you see that are performing very well, they probably give it a lot of time, and they probably have a couple of people editing and a couple of people filming. So there's a cost associated to that as well. If you try and do it all yourself, it takes too much time away from your business. So you definitely need to pay someone to do it for you. So that's what I'm thinking of doing right now. I'm going to probably build a bit of a team around me. And I might just start focusing on more short form media for the next couple of months, and then start doing the big things again. Yeah, that's my personal what I'm going to be doing.
It's funny when you said that a lot of these things take a long time. I speak to a lot of marketing managers. You find it quite hard to put the return on investment to, say, the managing director or the CEO on the value of marketing and what they do, and they have to continually explain, like, if you give me a brochure to do or a video to do, it takes time. But everyone just wants everything done yesterday. What advice would you give to that marketing manager who's trying to say to his manager, like, this is the reason why it takes so long. This is the reason why if I spend time and money on this, it will produce results, but it's never going to be immediate, I suppose.
Look, I always say don't get bogged down in the details of the data. So, right, if you think about it, back in the day, marketing was you print magazines, you do an advert on TV, you do letters to the post, and there was the only way of knowing if it was working was the amount of people that rang up the phone, and how many people contacted you, how many bookings came in that month, and how many people heard of your business, and you couldn't really track it at a granular level. So I think people have gotten really overwhelmed with this ROI and focus on, oh, actually, if I spend £1, I get £1.10 back here. Like that's relevant for social ads maybe and PPC and stuff like that. You can track it like that, but what you're not tracking there is you're not tracking what I call the halo effect. I nabbed that from Amazon a long time ago. Halo effect is basically all the people around that campaign that actually heard of your brand. How many people might remember you because of that brand? An example would be I ran the AirPods thing. It was in the press all around the world, but realistically, there was no real thing. I mean, the YouTube channel did well, but my socials, you didn't really know how many people had watched it. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I went into a networking event the other day, and 3 people had seen it, and 1 person had seen an Elton John thing that we did, and it was a door opener for me. And you know, off the back of that, I had lots of people booking in my calendar, and I didn't know how they'd seen it or when they'd seen it. The return investment was people just coming into the business. So I think if you stop looking at the silly details of how many impressions we've got, how much reach we've got, okay, that's fine, but start on the views and stop panicking about that sort of stuff and the likes, and start looking at, okay, well, actually, is the phone ringing? Are our sales team booking more appointments? When the sales team make a phone call, do they know who we are? You know, them are the sort of questions that you should be looking at when around the data, because it's just as important. You know, and the same thing applies to word of mouth marketing. It still exists at it's a very real thing. And just because someone goes, oh, I got all my business through word of mouth, doesn't mean that person hasn't been on your website first. Or you know, they're going to tell their mate, oh, I went to, you know, Gary's Glass Windows, and they're going to go Gary's Glass Windows website, and they're going to look at your social media before they contact you. So word of mouth exists, but it's very much intertwined with digital marketing now. So yeah, look, I say you can get bogged down in the data, and you can get bogged down in the details, and that's where you start making decisions on how much you're going to spend based on that. And I think what happens a lot of the time is it gets, you know, you just get overwhelmed and you start stripping away your budget. But realistically, there are other benefits at play and other things happening that you're just not recognizing. Old school marketers will get it. It's the new ones that are coming through that just don't think like that. They just think, oh, it's cost per click and how much reach and impressions I've got and that sort of stuff.
Yes, it's always the danger. It's that sort of pressure in terms of tracking everything and putting everything into a report, and everything is not trackable, like you said. It's but if the business is coming through the door and you're increasing that business, then it is working.
And I'm not dismissing the data, because a lot of the time that's how I prove that we've done a good job. You know, I say, look, we've spent this much money, we made this much money, but sometimes the things you can't track, like, how many times did the phone ring this month? You know, out of those leads that came in, how many people did you ring back in time? You know, a lot of the time you might find that you fall down on not the actual campaign itself, but how you're dealing with those leads that are coming in. And you know, I remember we ran one campaign once that we were sending like 20, 30 leads a day, and these guys were getting back to these leads 3 or 4 days later. And I was like, what do you think's happening in those 3 or 4 days when they've inquired with you? Like, do you think they're going to sit on their ass and wait for you to call them back? No, they're going to fucking go to your competition. So how stupid are you? And they were arguing with me saying, well, we're just getting a crap ROI. And I was like, no, you've just got a crap process. So I think if you were getting bogged down in the data, you'd be like, oh, actually, we've sent 100 leads. Out of those 100 leads, we only converted 3 a day. That's ridiculous. We're not spending that money anymore. But actually, the problem would lie somewhere else. You need to have a more holistic view, and you look at data analytics and actually evaluate your marketing. It's not always as clean and simple as it first appears. But a lot of companies out there that sell you licenses to like HubSpot and analytics and Google Ads and Facebook ads, and they try and get you into their platforms, will have you believe that is the be all and end all, because that is how they justify their spend on their platforms, right? So,
brilliant. Is there? I mean, if someone's looking to learn more about all this stuff, is there any sort of people that you follow or industry blogs that you read that you get quite a lot of advice from, where you definitely recommend? Or
do you know what? I used to listen to a lot of industry leaders in marketing, like, you know, things like, you know, Gary V and Simon Sinek, and who else did I listen to? Oh, bloody hell, I can't remember his name. He actually reached out to me ages ago and gave me my first bit of advice, and I can't remember his name. That's horrific. Anyway, the point is, I used to listen to these guys all the time, and then I started realizing that they were just talking about what they knew, right? And what they knew doesn't really change that often, doesn't evolve as fast as it should. Although they'll have you believe it has been doing, it's not necessarily true. So I actually tend to scour LinkedIn a lot of the time and read from my peers and just nosy around conversations like that. That's how I'll do my sort of research day to day. Again, I'll keep my eye on press. I have got an industry magazine that comes in, but it's supposed to be the best one ever, but I find it quite boring, so I've never actually read a full one yet.
Okay.
So the name of it, I bet you know it. 1 second, it came in yesterday. I probably deleted it. No, I can't find it. But basically, yeah, there's a few like industry sort of things you can sign on to. But what I find is that a lot of the marketing stuff is just a bit of a circle jerk. So they'll all sit around patting each other on the back for the same shit campaigns they've been running for the last 10 years. Like, I know I'm the guy that's never going to win an award for marketing, right? Because why the fuck would we want to give me an award for marketing? Because I don't do what they want. They do what they're doing, right? I'm saying what they're doing is quite crap a lot of the time. So why would they want to reward that behavior? But actually, realistically, you would think, actually, well, he's thinking differently. He should be sort of recognized. But I know I'll never win an award, right? So the point is, if I'm never going to win an award for anything thinking differently, why would I turn to those sort of blogs and the same platforms as everyone else to try and learn? Because I know that they're only going to be talking about the same shit they've been talking about for years.
Of course, yeah.
So I actually keep an eye out quite a lot of the time for interesting creators, people that are coming through the ranks and differently. Look on LinkedIn quite a lot for stuff. I actually have a folder where I screenshot things I've seen that are great marketing ideas, very unique, out there stuff. And I save those, and I dig into those people's profiles as well. So and that's where my learning comes from a lot of the time. And then, realistically, I do occasionally read blogs and stuff, but it's few and far between, because again, it seems to always be the same tired old conversations that I'm not interested in listening to anymore.
Is that, I mean, are you also sort of growing your team? I mean, how do you go about sort of recruitment and getting people into your organisation? I suppose you're looking for that, because it's very hard to look at a CV and just think you're just looking for keywords. Have they got experience in SEO, social media? But I suppose you're looking for that person who's going to create something a bit different, I suppose, to your company.
I'll be honest, I've only ever reached out to people and brought them in because I've seen something they're doing that's amazing. There's a guy that I saw creating logos. He was absolutely shit hot, and he was randomly on some Facebook group. And when I dug into who he was, it turns out he was living abroad, and he was scared. He was using a fake profile because no one would trust him. And I was like, your work is amazing. Like, I was like, you're just really good. I was like, I'll work with you. I don't give a shit where you're from. And I wouldn't usually do that because it's usually, if you go out overseas, it can be crap. But this guy was just amazing. He didn't know how good he was. A videographer, I found a videographer whilst I was helping out an event. I saw what he was filming, thought he was sick, so I brought him on board. And I spot people like that. Like, this guy doing social ads, just brought him in from down south. He was sharing some of the campaign results on his LinkedIn. And I was like, mate, you're absolutely killing it. Like, my guy's not getting anywhere near that sort of return. So, like, what's the magic? What's the magic you're doing that we're not? So I'm now working with him. So I think every single person that I work with, I've seen them doing amazing at some point or other, and I've then reached out to them, and I've sort of blagged them into working with me on first couple of projects, and then more and more. Sure. So that's kind of how I do it. I don't even know how it would work if I was to put a job ad. I don't think I would put a job advert listing out there and let someone apply, because that's what everyone else is doing, right? So again, if that's what everyone else is doing, why I don't want to do it. I know it sounds silly to think like that, but I literally don't want to do the same. I don't want to have the same agency as anyone else. I don't want to have the same business. I don't want to have the same ethos. I don't want my clients to have the same experience. I want my clients to have different campaigns. So every granular level of my entire business, I have to look at it and go, well, if everyone's doing that, how can I be different? And it sounds so cheesy, but that's just kind of what I'm doing. And sometimes subconsciously, I don't realize that's what I'm doing.
So I suppose, do you think that is the biggest challenge in recruitment today? Everyone just doing the same thing over and over again and expecting the same results, or what?
Look, there's plenty of business out there. Loads of agencies that are making a pretty penny just doing the same shit campaigns to their clients day in, day out, and the clients will pay them every single month, and everyone's happy. And again, it's all big circle jerk, and they'll win awards for it, and rah. That is fine. I do not want to be involved in that industry, because that is what would be essentially mind-numbing to me. It would kill my creativity. It would make me feel like I want to be, I don't know, a bin man or a frigging traffic warden or something outdoors. It's nothing on a computer screen if that was what I was involved in. So with that in mind, I don't think the recruiters do anything wrong. I think they're recruiting exactly the right people that are supposed to work at these companies, and the companies are hiring them and training them in their way, and they're keeping those people to work for them because that's their way of doing things, and it's all fine for those guys. I don't think that's where there's no issues at all. I think it's doing really well. They make loads of money. They probably make millions more than me, but I don't care. I want to just have something completely different, and I want to be when I finish building, I want to look back and go, look at how fucking different this is, on every level. So yeah, recruitment for me would probably be a case of. Do you know what would work for me? Someone reached out to me and say, I've got to work for you. So a couple of times I've had people reach out and say, I just need to work for you. Like, I don't know who they are, what they do. They're just like, I need to work for Hustle. I've seen this thing you've just done you're in a city centre, and I saw you running around laughing, and I just need to work with you. And they're the sort of people that I'll entertain. But if someone was like, have you got any jobs? I'm like, no, because the person that's asking that question would do the same shit job at any place, right? So it's not about them working for me. It's about, I don't know. I don't know if I'm just like completely slagging off. I'm not slagging off marketing, by the way. I love the industry, but I'm just saying is that I'm just not built to be the same as everyone else.
I suppose the way people approach you, saying they've seen your website or they're interested in what you do, that's because of your branding. That's because of the content that you produce. So you are attracting that sort of person that really is got that sort of passion to get in what you're involved with. So
I think that's it. I think I'm putting my core values so widely on display. I'm being so transparent that they are aligning themselves with those core values and saying that's my type of person, that's my type of business. And as a result, like, it's never really me looking to recruit. It's me just attracting the right people, right? And I think that's what everyone said you're supposed to do. You attract the right. But how are you attracting the right people if you're putting a listing on a job board and some people are just going through total jobs, applying to every marketing job? I know that because I used to do it myself. Like, I would send my CV to any company. There was no discrimination between any single one of them. The only thing I looked for was salary. Okay, cool, send. Salary, location, send. Salary, location, send. And I wouldn't give a shit. And then if you spoke to me, then I pretend that I care about your business. I'd be like, yeah, no, I've read all your webs. I'm really excited to work with you guys. Like, I get there first day and I've read the website cover to cover. But I wouldn't say that necessarily is attracting the right people, right? That's just attracting someone who enjoys marketing and doesn't care where they work.
Yeah, of course. All right. I suppose to leave it on a final question is, I suppose if you was going to give advice to your younger self about the marketing industry and how they should, I suppose, where they should start, which direction they should go in, what advice would that be?
So the way I started, I was working in nightclubs as a manager of a bar, and I was studying at university in the daytime. So I was studying for 4 years, did my degree and a master's in marketing. Now, I mentioned that because there's this massive sort of let's all shit on students, let's all shit on university recently. And, you know, I would say I'm quite entrepreneurial. I would say I'm ADHD as hell, and I'm one of those business owners that you talk about. But I was kicked out of college 3 times. But actually, I found that it was important to go back to university because I wanted a theoretical understanding. I didn't want to be called the dumbest guy in the room. I didn't want to be sort of feeling like I had something to prove to everyone who was beating me academically. Do you know what I mean? So I went back and did that. So I always recommend to young people that, you know, if you find something you want to do, maybe consider studying it because you're going to learn it at a different level. I learned, again, all about the theory, customer psychology, behavioral psychology, you know, consumer habits, things that I did not give a toss about when I studied. And I was like, when am I going to use Maslow's hierarchy of needs? Now I mention it like a lot in conversations, or the consumer buying life cycle journey and shit, like things that models that you see and you're like, this is ridiculous. I'm never ever going to use this.
Yeah.
And then I'll be talking to a client on the phone and I'll apply the idea I've got to logic and principles of marketing, and it's I'm underpinning action with academia, and proven models, and I'm like, what the hell? Like, when did this happen? And that was a long time before that started happening, but I realized now I actually did learn something. So I think it's very important not to just discredit it and be like, if you want to be successful, you don't need to go to university, because I think a lot of people that make it really big and the ones that brag about not going to university are kind of anomalies 9 times out of 10, and that's why they brag about it, because 1 in 10 made it and 9 out of 10 didn't. But you wouldn't hear about the 9 out of 10. So anyway, that's why I went back. The second thing I would say is what I did again when I was younger, is I started asking questions at an early age, and then I started reaching out to people who are doing what I wanted to do. I actually spent a full year interviewing agency owners back in 2016, where I went out with a camera and I would sit down with them and ask them questions. And the excuse to meet them was, I'll make a video and I'll put it on YouTube. And they didn't know how many followers I had. They just thought I was making a YouTube video. So they said yes. It got me in the door and it got me asking questions and learning from them. And that, you know, I did that years before I even started my own business, because I wanted to learn from the horse's mouth what it took to start a business, and I sort of saw myself going that way. And when I wanted to get into marketing, I did the same thing. I reached out to marketers and I asked them questions about what they did, and a lot of them said universities. That's kind of what led me down that path. So the bottom line is, ask questions, find people that are already doing it, and learn from those people. And the second piece of advice would just be, don't discredit education. Like I was kicked out of university, 3 colleges. I was told that I was an absolute shitbag and I should not be able to stay in education. And then, you know, 2 years later, I was like, I'm back. And they're like, why is this guy back? But when I found my passion, that's when I started to succeed. So actually, I found what I was passionate about, and that was the problem I was having. So yeah, I guess they're the 2 main pieces of advice.
Brilliant. All right. Well, thank you very much for your time, Lewis. It's been much appreciated, and yeah, some great insights, and I wish you well in your business.
Always. I apologize for swearing like 1,000 times, but I'm a bit ill, by the way. It's my excuse. I'm a bit ill, so my vocabulary is nowhere near as wide as it usually is. I usually substitute words for like fudge and like ship, but today I can't do that. I'm sorry.
That's fine.
Pleasure.
Right.
Thanks so much, Duncan.
Thank you.